Chapter 11, Part 1, Why Study Haircutting? Imagine looking at a haircut and knowing exactly how to recreate the shape. Cutting hair confidently can bring success to every cosmetologist. Education in haircutting principles and precision haircutting methods is the best way to develop the foundational skills needed. Precision haircutting is not just being precise in your haircut. It is applying a systematic plan. LO1. Explain why cosmetologists need a thorough understanding of haircutting. LO2. Define haircutting in terms of lines, sections, angles, elevation, finger angle, guidelines, and over direction. Benefits of studying haircutting. 1. Foundational skill. Haircutting is the basic foundational skill upon which all hair designs are built. 2. Build trust. Being able to create or duplicate a haircut from a photo builds confidence, trust, and loyalty between cosmetologists and clients. 3. Client satisfaction. A haircut that is easy to style and maintain will make clients happy with their experience and build repeat services, which increases your career opportunities and income. 4. Advanced techniques. Studying the fundamentals allows you to understand advanced haircutting techniques. Check-in questions. 1. What should you consider before providing your client with a precise haircut? Answer. Precision haircutting is applying a systematic plan. Combining the plan with haircutting principles helps you better understand how to approach any haircut, apply basic haircutting techniques, and be familiar with frequently used haircutting tools. 2. Why is mastering haircutting vital to your cosmetology career? Answer. Haircutting is the basic foundational skill upon which all hair designs are built. Haircutting lines, sections, and angles lines. A line is a thin, continuous mark used as a guide. The two basic lines used in haircutting are straight and curved. The head itself is made up of curved and straight lines. When you cut lines in a haircut, the hair falls into a shape. Sections. A section is the working area that the hair is separated into before cutting. Angles. An angle is created when the space between two lines or surfaces intersects at a given point. The angle at which you cut the line is what gives the hair direction and shape. Angles are important elements in creating a strong foundation and consistency in haircutting because this is how shapes are created. Types of haircut lines. Horizontal lines. These are parallel to the floor and relative to the horizon. Horizontal lines direct the eye from one side to the other. Horizontal lines build weight. They create one length and low elevation haircuts and add weight. Vertical lines. These are usually described in terms of up and down and are the opposite of horizontal. Vertical lines remove weight to create graduated or layered haircuts and are used with higher elevations. Diagonal lines. These are between horizontal and vertical and they have a slanting or sloping direction. Techniques using diagonal lines create angles by cutting hair ends with a slight increase or decrease in length. Beveling also can be accomplished by rolling the hair around the index and middle fingers to flip the hair up or under and then cut. Types of diagonal lines. Diagonal forward creates movement toward the face. Diagonal back creates movement away from the face. Haircut sections for control during haircutting. The hair is parted into working areas called sections. Each section may be divided into smaller areas called subsections. The line dividing the hair at the scalp is called a part or parting. Parting the hair separates one section of hair from another, creating subsections. Sections are made up of curved and straight lines and are sometimes used to subdivide many areas of the head into smaller segments that will be included in the haircut design. Types of sections. There are 4 types of sections used in haircutting: horseshoe, pivoting, profile, and radial. Horseshoe section separates the head at the parietal ridge to below the crown, providing you with control when layering or graduating the hair. Refer to figures 11.6 through 11.8. Pivoting section, also referred to as a pie-shaped section. It rotates from a central point and is used in layering and graduation. Refer to figures 11.9 and 11.10. Profile section center, forehead to center nape, divides the head in 2 sections, a right and left profile, and facilitates subsectioning. Refer to figures 11.11 and 11.12. Radial section that is taken from ear to ear and divides the head from front to back. Starting behind the apex in the Crowian, refer to figure 11.13. Elevation in haircutting, also known as projection or lifting, is the degree at which a section or subsection of hair is held or elevated from the head when cutting. Elevation creates graduation, a gradual progression of lengths from longest to shortest that is cut to a fixed guideline. It is usually described in degrees. Refer to figure 1114. In a blunt or one-length haircut, there is no elevation. Therefore, it is 0 degrees. Elevation occurs when you lift any hair section above 0 degrees. Any haircut that is not a single length requires the use of elevation. The highest degree of elevation is 180 degrees relative to the head form. Understanding elevation. When a client brings in a picture of a haircut they want, you should be able to look at the picture and determine what elevations were used. Once you understand the effects of elevation, you can create any shape you desire. The most common elevations are 45 and 90 degrees. When the hair is elevated below 90 degrees, you build weight. When you elevate the hair 90 degrees or higher, you remove weight or layer the hair. The hair's length also affects the result. Longer hair often appears heavier or less layered. Usually, less elevation is needed on curly hair than on straighter textures. You will often cut hair, especially curly hair, a bit longer because of shrinkage, which is when hair contracts or lifts through the action of moisture loss or drying. Finger angle in hair cutting. The finger angle, also known as the cutting line, is the angle at which the fingers are held when cutting the line that creates the end shape. This is also known as the cutting position, cutting angle, using degrees, and finger position. The finger angle can be horizontal, vertical, or diagonal, or degrees can be used to describe the finger angle in relation to the head. Refer to figures 1115 through 1117. Guideline in hair cutting. A guideline, also known as a guide, is a hair subsection that determines the length of the hair that will be cut. The perimeter guideline is the haircut's outer line, and the interior guideline is the cut's inner or internal line. The guideline is usually the first section cut when creating a shape. The two guideline types are stationary and traveling. A stationary guideline does not move. Refer to figure 1118. All other sections are combed to the stationary guideline and cut at the same angle and length. Used in blunt, one-length haircuts and in haircuts such as graduation that use over-direction to create a length or weight increase. Traveling guideline, also known as a movable guideline, travels with you as you progress through the haircut. Refer to figure 1121. Used when creating layered or graduated haircuts. When using a traveling guide, take a small slice of the previous subsection and move it to the next position or subsection where it becomes your new guideline. The following are a few shapes you can create using different elevations, cutting lines, and stationary or traveling guidelines. Keep in mind the varying amounts of weight that result from these combinations. Figure 11 to 24 shows a blunt, one-length haircut with no elevation, a diagonal cutting line, and a stationary guideline. To achieve the layered shape in figures 1125 and 1126, use a 90-degree elevation with a vertical cutting line and a traveling guideline. The shape shown in figures 1127 and 1128 was cut using a 45-degree elevation throughout the sides and back, creating a stacked effect with a diagonal 45-degree cutting line. The top was cut using a 90-degree elevation, layered, and the entire shape was created using a traveling guideline. Creating different haircut shapes. The following are a few shapes you can create using different elevations, cutting lines, and stationary or traveling guidelines. Keep in mind the varying amounts of weight that result from these combinations. Figure 11 to 24 shows a blunt, one-length haircut with no elevation, a diagonal cutting line, and a stationary guideline. To achieve the layered shape in figures 1125 and 1126, use a 90-degree elevation with a vertical cutting line and a traveling guideline. The shape shown in figures 1127 and 1128 was cut using a 45-degree elevation throughout the sides and back, creating a stacked effect with a diagonal 45-degree cutting line. The top was cut using a 90-degree elevation, layered, and the entire shape was created using a traveling guideline. Over-direction in hair cutting. Over-direction occurs when you comb the hair away from its natural falling position, rather than straight out from the head to increase the design's length. Over-direction is used mostly in graduated and layered haircuts. For example, you are working on a layered haircut and want the hair to be longer toward the front. You can over-direct the sections to a stationary guideline at the back of the ear. Refer to figures 1129 and 1130. Or if you are creating a haircut with shorter layers around the face and longer layers in the back, You can overdirect sections to a stationary guideline at the front. Refer to figures 1131 and 1132. Overdirection examples, longer front. For example, you are working on a layered haircut and want the hair to be longer toward the front. You can overdirect the sections to a stationary guideline at the back of the ear, shorter face frame. Or if you are creating a haircut with shorter layers around the face and longer layers in the back, you can overdirect sections to a stationary guideline at the front. Mastering haircutting techniques. 1. Advanced techniques combining all elements for complex styles. 2. Overdirection and guidelines, creating varied lengths and shapes. 3. Elevation and finger angles, controlling weight and texture. 4. Lines and sections, the foundation of all haircuts. By mastering these haircutting techniques, from the basic lines and sections to advanced overdirection and guideline manipulation, cosmetologists can create a wide range of haircut styles with confidence and precision. Check-in questions 3. How are lines and sections used together before performing a haircut? Answer. Lines are the thin, continuous marks used as guides on the head. Sections are the working areas that the hair is separated into before cutting. 4. What is elevation? Answer. Elevation is the degree to which a subsection of hair is held or elevated from the head when cutting. 5. Where are guidelines located? Answer. Guidelines are hair subsections that determine the length of the hair that will be cut. The perimeter guideline is the haircut's outer line, and the interior guideline is the cut's inner or internal line. 6. How does overdirection occur in graduated and layered haircuts? Answer. Overdirection occurs when you comb the hair away from its natural falling position, rather than straight out from the head to increase length in the design. All haircuts explained in this presentation are from the Milady Standard Cosmetology, 14th edition. Thank you for watching, and please share, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.